Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ryan with From Corners Unknown. I hope you're all doing well. Just a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of conducting my first in-person interview with the band American Standards. They are a chaotic hardcore band based out of Phoenix, Arizona. They did a small string of tour dates up through the Pacific Northwest, and I was able to go catch them at their show in Portland at the high water mark. And just before they went to go set up for their show, we sat on the back patio of the high water mark and set up a quick little microphone, and this is the resulting conversation. I apologize in advance if some folks, if there's too much background noise. I did what I could to try and reduce some of that throughout the duration of the conversation, but you definitely will be hearing cars driving by and buses offloading people and things of that sort. But I think it gives it a nice organic sound to the conversation, kind of immerses you a bit in the conversation. We talk a little bit about kind of where the band is now and how they're seeing a different approach to releasing their music, and they go into more detail about that in the conversation. Just after this introduction, I will play a track off of their most recent release, Anti-Melody, titled Cancer Eater. And to close out the conversation, I will play their track, Bartenders Without Wings, which is also off Anti-Melody. As always, thank you so much for your continued support, and thank you for any and all support you can give American Standards.
Wasn't working man, worked all his life till he died. And he fought for everything he had. I was left to say goodbye. But now it's always behind me. Let the edge of every line. Dropping down the consistency. And take his way tonight. Let the noise, give me noise. Break the silence, fill the void. And crack for hours. And to end where I began, we won't ever meet again. I know the answers to the questions left unsaid. Oh, why I can't get, why I can't get, why I can't get, let me down. How much more must I give to realize what I am? We're taking hostage by the ones we love left us behind. I can't see something new. This first words that organ has held. Life will move on, and I'll go on too. My father was a working man, worked all his life until he died. And he fought for everything he had. I was left to say goodbye. My father was a working man, worked all his life until he died. I live like him, I'll die like him. Remember me, remember.
Gorilla interview.
Yeah,
Right.
We're sitting
Okay.
in the alleyway.
Alright, Joseph
Brandon?
and
Cool, let's do
Erickson are watching it.
Yeah, we can just talk about. I keep the podcast just like free for yeah, just like talk about whatever. But
Can we talk movies? I
if you guys, we
Welcome to
I mean
this
we
podcast.
can really go. We can really go. I mean we can do whatever. I've had them derail and it just goes wherever
Sometimes
it
it's
wants.
better,
Yeah, it's more interesting that way. Just trying to find out ways to you learn some interesting things about people.
This is Corey. I play guitar in American Standards.
I'm Mitch. I play drums in American Standards.
My name is Steven, and I play bass in American Standards.
And Brandon, and I do vocals. this is your guys' first time back out to the Northwest, Pacific Northwest in a while. How long?
In a couple of years, yeah. Been about 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Longer than that. 3 years, because I joined the band after you guys came out here. So
Good, yeah.
Has it been? Okay.
yeah, has
Last
been,
time
yeah.
we played here, we played Ash Street, which is now closed. So
Ash Street Saloon.
Right. Yeah.
Close.
That place. Yeah. That was pretty sad to see that place go because there's a lot of good venues there, and they just kind of got pushed out by the whoever was doing their they just wanted to like turn into like a boutique shop or something like that.
Right.
yeah, apparently
Yeah,
the place
they
that we
wanted to-
played at, Ash Street
Right.
Saloon, had a big sign on it that said, "Thanks to gentrification."
Yes.
Degentrification. Thanks to gentrification, we've been pushed out of our spot.
Right, yeah, and it's sad because it was like a really chill spot. Like they had music every single night, like
Yeah.
you know, like 7 days a week.
And we
or
played with
whatever.
these same, so Vigil Wolves, we played with them last
gonna
time
say,
too.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
it was a great show. It was one of the better shows on the run,
Good
actually.
dudes. Good
Oh.
dudes.
Huh.
Yeah, really good dudes.
Or as Corey calls them, Virgil Wolves.
Virgil Wolves. I get the R mixed up.
So what's been the just not being? Have you guys been touring elsewhere? What brought you guys back to the Northwest?
Just homies. Our buds in Steaksauce Mustache hit us up, and they wanted to do a little run with us because they're on this like a month-long tour right now.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So those guys, they hit us up, and we worked it out to where we can do at least like a week
Right.
of shows with them, and
Right.
it just worked out to where it's going to be.
Yeah,
in
and
this
it's a lot of
area.
places like, it's weird because we've never done a tour where we got to drive less than 6 hours every day.
Yeah,
So this
it's been-
entire tour has been like 2-hour drives, and the longest drive is a 4-hour drive, which is normally our shortest drives on tours.
Yeah, that's normally you're stoked because it's only 4 hours.
We're driving each day, and we look at the mile markers, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
150 miles. Hell yeah!
That's like the longest one. Yeah, normally you see it, it's like 600. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, wonderful.
Wow.
This is gonna be
So
Wow.
you leave the venue at like 11 or midnight,
Right.
and then by the time you get to sleep, you're like, all right, I got to wake up in 3 or 4 hours and hit the road.
Yeah, hit the road.
Now it's like, well, if we hit the road by noon, we'll still make it by check-in.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly.
sure, sure.
So nice.
And we've
yeah.
been getting up early and actually be able to explore town a little bit. So we spent
cool.
the majority of the day today at like base camp, and
Yeah, we
Mitch
were-
went out and found a cool poke place and went to Buffalo Exchange and
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. What's the and what were like the string of dates? You guys went all the way up to Seattle, and then you started peeling
Yeah,
back.
so it's been kind of like back and forth a little bit. So
Okay.
first day we were in Salem.
Oh,
yeah, so we
nice.
flew
Okay.
to Portland,
Yeah.
got a minivan, and then drove to Salem.
Yeah.
shoot,
So
okay.
not too bad of a drive. Salem.
Right.
Then we played Kennewick
Okay.
at like a VFW.
And that's in
hall.
Washington, right?
Yeah.
Is that like
Yeah.
is that north? Is that further
Yeah,
north
just
of
like-
Seattle?
It's like
or-
north from here. Well, I guess Seattle. It's southeast.
I don't know. I've
Okay.
never even heard of Kennewick.
Yeah, it's pretty
Southeast.
small.
It's
Pretty
southeast.
small little put
Because
town. It was fun though. It was a
You
cool
get
show.
like you're
Okay.
crossing like the whole damn state to get to Seattle. So
Okay.
we were over in
Okay.
the corner, and then we hit Kennewick, and then we went to Tacoma, and then we hit Seattle, and then we just drove
Yeah.
down here.
It's
Okay,
weird because like
sweet.
we've always done, when it comes to West Coast, we've always done like major market for the most part. Like you do like San Diego sometimes, but Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle,
right.
like all the major places. So this time, like the majority of the tour has been all smaller places that either we haven't heard of or we haven't played before.
And has that been faring pretty well? Have you
Actually,
seen some
yeah.
pretty good
Yeah,
turnouts?
really
Yeah,
is.
it really
I mean,
is,
I think
yeah.
it really fits like where we're at in like this type of music now, where it's
Right.
like a lot of people like aren't going to music venues as much as they used to. Now it's
Yeah.
like, all right, we're playing a VFW and people are coming out. We're playing last night. We played a roller skating rink in the middle of a roller skating rink.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about that.
that
Yeah.
was
it's like
seriously
those types of, we played a bicycle shop. It's like
Really?
we're playing these like places that aren't traditional music venues,
Huh.
but the people that come to those places are people that are really about like the community around it.
Interesting.
And it is
Huh.
it's been like a different experience in playing a place that's like, all right, this is a 400 capacity venue,
Right.
and they have shows 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a 400 capacity venue, but only 30 people show up, and none of those 30 people know each other. Like the
Okay.
places that we're playing are places that when they do have shows, the same people come to the shows and they know each other, and it just feels like more like a community.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
like being the band that's out of town, like I feel like they have.
They're very welcoming.
Yeah, I feel like they're
Yeah,
very
everyone's
welcoming,
very
and like they almost like they take pride on the fact that they built something and they welcome someone else. Like they have to put their best foot forward to say, this is the band from out of town. Let's show them what this city is like, you know?
Yeah, interesting. But skating, like how the hell?
Yeah, okay.
I've never heard of that.
It's I don't know
crazy.
like how. Yeah, I mean the only other reference to it is basically the Every Time I Die, the Bowl-O-Rama video. They did that.
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
they're
Okay,
like
okay,
wrecking
sure.
A rink, you know. But yeah, so basically they did this festival called the Top Knot Fest, and I'm assuming is like a play on the Knot Fest, the Slipknot.
Right.
festival.
Was this the first one?
It was the first one, but they said after what happened this year that they're gonna keep doing it because it was so successful. You know,
and it's not a once a year thing. It's like they're gonna make it consistent.
I think they're gonna do it like a once a year festival.
Okay.
I don't know if they're gonna get more shows there or what
I
the plan is, but yeah. So like what they did is they set up. There's like the big giant roller rink area, and they set up some pads. I don't know. The stage is probably like 40 by 40, like not super huge. Like that's the stage including the floor and everything. So and then you could skate around basically the whole time. And then they had a bar, cool, like a separate area that was a bar, and there was a stage in there. So a band would play in the roller rink. As soon as that band was done, the band would start playing in the bar. Yeah. Next band was set up. As soon as that band was done, so they got 12 bands done in a matter of 6 hours or something.
And that was also the first time I've ever had an experience where like it was like band play this room, band play that room, and it actually was like on time.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Which was fun.
They did it perfect.
It was actually like no bands overlapped each other or anything like that. Like, you got to watch everyone the whole night. It was really awesome.
So cool. Like people would filter out and then filter back in, and
And the one thing like I didn't expect from this was like I thought it was either gonna be all people skating or all people standing like in the side. If you remember like the roller skating rinks, like when you're a kid and stuff, all people standing like behind the brick wall watching.
Right.
But they actually set it up to a point where there was a legitimate spot for if you weren't skating, you could stand directly in front of the band. So there's like 100 kids standing in front of the band, plus like another 100 people skating around in a circle around the band. And then a bar that had another 100 people in there.
Wow.
So it was like a really like cool setup, and the sound was like they really paid attention to like what would make it sound right. So they had like 4 different PA speakers, so you like regardless of what point of the rink you were in, it was going to sound good. Yeah, like it was set up really well, and like I was just surprised that like it was a 21 and over show too, and it made me think like, okay, like are a lot of people like in their 20s and 30s and over going to get into the idea of skating around hardcore bands? And they completely did. You know?
Were there any like crazy? Like were people trying to do like any crazy mosh pit?
Like
weird
there's one guy
I
who's
just remember
super
a lot
drunk.
of
super drunk people, and this guy had like his skates on, and he wasn't very good at skating in general, and he just comes barreling into the crowd, just throwing his body around. He seriously, I saw him just slam his head on the ground, just like push himself back up, like he was.
Which band was it that we played with them in Kennewick? Their guitar player actually was playing on skates.
Oh yeah,
really?
Zan or Zon, I can't remember exactly.
He just had like a little like a wireless.
He was just like he was
shredding too, man. He's like ripping it. Yeah.
They were like, so like he would go in there and do like backup vocals and like play his part, and then like just step over the little padded thing and just do a few laps and then come back and keep shredding.
Awesome.
And I'm like, dude, this guy is
It was so sick. Yeah,
and with that same guy, like the best, like literally the coolest thing ever was like they put out a bunch of balloons. So we were like basically playing Mario Kart with balloons and taking balloons and like throwing them at each other, or you take a bunch of balloons and like put them behind like you, so people like trip over the balloons while they're skating. And like so the guys from Zon were doing the same thing. So like while like the bands are playing, we're just like throwing them and chucking them at each other. It was like so much fun.
It was awesome. Yeah.
It was a really cool show.
It was a really good show. Yeah.
Is that like the highlight of the
so far?
I think it's like one of the best shows I've ever played in general. It was such a fun show. I just had such a good time.
The concept is amazing.
And everybody was there just to have fun. Like it wasn't like there was nothing like so like Steaksauce
There's no
Mustache,
tough guys or nothing.
Yeah, like their whole live show is just like a crazy party, super fun. And like us, like we have fun with the crowd and everything, but our music's maybe a little bit more serious in tone.
Sure.
And so, but that's the thing is people were still having a blast the whole time. And I think that's good. Like Zan, the same thing. Like they're crazy like grindcore parts, but everybody's still like having a party. And,
that's awesome.
So I think it was just a really fun vibe, and the promoter just killed it, getting it all lined up.
And like all the bands got paid more than they probably normally do when they play back.
Really?
Yeah,
there's a bar for like so they had like drink tickets for all the bands, and there's like 12 bands.
Wow.
So like all the bands were drinking for free. They got paid more than they normally got paid.
Wow.
And there's a huge crowd in both the side stage and the main stage.
Yeah.
So it was just a fun show. And then like people were skating for the first time in 10, 20 years.
I can't skate, so I wouldn't have been able to.
There's an arcade. There's like an arcade there to play games. There's food there. Mitch was skating for the first time in a long time, so it's funny to watch that.
I put skates on, but I didn't go anywhere. I put them on, I stood up and went, well, there we go. And I sat back down and took them on.
I felt like I hadn't skated in 20 years. I felt like I was killing it the whole night. And then I walked by a merch booth and I was just standing there like as people walked by and asked questions.
Right.
And then like someone was like, there's a couple standing there holding hands. And I was just like standing there like, oh, if you guys are interested in anything, just let me know. And then I just fell backwards and like landed on my back. I just looked up at them. I'm like, like literally I've been skating all night and didn't fall. And the one time I fell, I was just standing still.
Oh shit. So how come you guys are? So you're doing this small stretch. Why aren't you following the Steaksauce Mustache guys?
We got 9 to 5.
Yeah,
makes sense.
That's the
Makes
biggest
sense.
thing. Yeah. So like for me, it's a bit like I don't get any paid time off or anything with what I do, so that makes it a lot harder.
And what do
as
you
well.
What do you do? Like
I do like electrical work,
Okay.
like installing conduit and
I
things
see.
like that. So
I
like
see.
yeah, and then these guys have like more like regular like 9 to 5 kind of stuff where they can get that paid time off. So it but which is kind of nice because that kind of lets us be like, okay, I got 4 weeks paid time off. Let's hit this week here, this week here, this week here, and then bust it out. And so it kind of I think that like it's good and bad for scheduling.
Sure.
Obviously, the ideal situation is we don't have to work. We can go on tour whenever we want.
Just quit
but-
the job and it'll be there when we come
nobody
back.
can do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like huge bands have to be like, okay, well, we got to plan this out, and it's just a different environment now. So,
Right.
I feel like it's an environment where you no longer have to compromise because like it's acceptable to have your own job, and then when you want to tour, you can tour. And the fact that we don't rely on touring for paying our bills, it's like, well, we no longer have to be like, let's make a song that really hits. Let's just make the song that we want to make, and if it hits, that's awesome. And if it doesn't hit, it's still the song that we want to make.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter. Like we're not relying on this song to pay our bills, you know?
Right.
And that's that's such a low stress environment compared to like I remember when I first started playing music. It's like I need to tour and I need to sell merch and I need to do this in order to pay for my car and to pay for this and that.
Sure.
And now that it's not that anymore, it's just so much more easygoing.
Okay. And do you guys have any plans later in the year to go out and do more tours? Do you have more?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nothing's set in
walks?
stone. Like
Okay.
nothing's booked yet, but we're talking to some
we
friends
have great
about.
friends that are in bands that want to go out with us, and we just today we had a great friend that wants to do Canada with us.
Oh shoot! Okay,
So,
awesome.
have you that's in the works.
Have you guys gone international, like out to?
We've never played Canada, so we actually the label. We have 2 labels that have distributed our stuff. We had the label out Mexico that distributed all our cassettes and CDs, and a label in the UK that distributed all our vinyl. But we've never been to either. So we've done like quite a bit of US touring, but never been outside of the US.
Yeah.
So like originally our plan was around July to do a East Coast tour, and around September to do a Midwest tour, which we did a Midwest tour around this time last year. But now that our really good friends that play great music and have been doing it for a long time have offered us to go out to Canada, maybe we'll do something out there.
And would that be kind of going like just on the west side, or would you kind of go across?
More western.
Yeah, west towards the
Because like
east.
Canada is like Western Canada. There's plenty of cities,
like,
and then there's just like
Vancouver
barren
Nothing.
wastelands
Right.
of nothing.
Right.
And then there's like
Right.
Quebec and like all those places, Toronto,
sure.
and
Okay.
which is like I've played in Quebec, and that's one of my favorite places I've ever played. It's just such like people are so stoked on music up there. Like
Interesting.
Yeah, all the little bars. They packed like 300 people into a tiny little bar up
shit.
there for a show. Yeah, it's crazy. Canadians are just cool people. Like I love like all my Canadian friends are like the nicest people I know.
I love, yeah, Canada is probably the best place.
Vancouver, like I played in Vancouver too, and like that, it's crazy how like that city you like going in, it just looks like it's like super normal, and then but I was talking to a buddy of mine who lives up there. He said houses are like $1 million up there, like a cheap house is $1 million up in Vancouver, because it's like kind of like Seattle where everybody kind of wants to get up there. And
Granted, if you live in Portland, it's probably very expensive as well.
Yeah,
That's why a lot of our friends live in Vancouver, so that they work in Portland.
Vancouver, Washington.
Which is why traffic is so bad.
Yeah.
A 7-mile drive took us an hour the other day.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if you wanted to get a house up there, I guess the exchange rate though is pretty bad.
guess
Like
that-
the-
Right
like-
now we got the upper hand there.
Right. So if you it's what
$1.25 or something.
It's something
like that.
something
Yeah,
pretty
I
significant.
got like a cassette deck and it was like $200, and I got it for like 130 or so, 140, and I was just like, oh my god, yeah, it was like a ridiculous exchange rate.
Yeah.
But
Take that, Canada. Yeah. Free healthcare.
what do you guys? So what's on a new album? Are you guys piecing together some new stuff, and are you trying to like shape the tours
God,
around that, or pad it around the new release of an album or something?
Yeah, we do have a new song that we wanted to release before this tour, but it just we wanted to make sure we had a video and everything in line. So I think we're gonna try something a little different than what we've done in the past, and I think what a lot of bands maybe are realizing that they want to try, which is releasing some singles and doing it more consistently, and then putting that as a part of an EP. So as opposed to waiting a year or 2 years for a full length of 12 or 14 songs, saying we're going to put out music every couple months, and then you'll always have a song and a video.
Is it kind of like that, like how Protest the Hero did that? Like that
That's
subscription service?
We've talked about that before. I love that. I think that's such a genius idea to be like, we're just going to release a song every few months, and you just pay this fee, and then you get the song.
Yeah, and I think that allows the song to live a little bit more and to be its own thing. Because it's such a bummer when like you spend all this time and money and you put out 12 songs and 2 or 3 of them really get some take, and you only play 2 or 3 songs from the entire album on tour. And then the rest of the songs that you spent all this time and money on like are just fall in the background. So I think we want to spend an equal amount of time, effort on each song and make sure they're everything they could be, and then just treat them as if they're a single. They're a song that we're gonna play on the road. They're a song that we're gonna have a video for. They're a song that we're gonna talk about when we're like doing stuff like this. And then make sure this every couple months we're doing the same thing, you know? And we've never done that before, so maybe we'll do it for a while and realize it's not gonna work, but we're hoping right now this is gonna be the first time trying it that it's gonna work.
And have you seen success with other bands doing it, and you were just like that? Like it just like,
I mean, outside of Protest the Hero, I mean, I know a lot of bands have talked about it, but I don't know that I've seen one way or the other. Like, I mean, to me, I just think about the way that I listen to music. When I listen to music, I like, if a band comes out with an album, like, I'll listen to the album once or twice. But then after that, I'll add some songs to my playlist. And then it comes to a point where I'm listening to it on shuffle, and I no longer know what songs on what album. And there's many times that, like, even on this tour, like, Mitch will play some songs, and it'll be from a band that I really like. I'm like, what album is this song even on? So it's like, I think people, the way that people listen to music now is more in, like, the songs that they like and they gravitate towards. They listen to it in their own playlist of music or in their own.
Yeah, for sure. And I think to follow up on that, we're all big fans of the band Islander, and they just came out with a new single. And me and Steve, we live together, and I think together, cumulatively, we've listened to that goddamn song like 50 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's just, you have that one song, so you just focus on it.
And you just rip that song.
It's literally like there's a Bluetooth speaker in our living room. So like someone's in their bedroom, and all of a sudden you just start playing.
And
it's like all of a sudden you just hear like the riff start, and like we both walk out of our rooms and look at each other like, there it is.
And that's what it is, It's just, you have that one song, and you just rip it. And you just go.
Interesting. And that's what I brought up. Code Orange is trying to do something like that.
Oh, interesting.
They just released a new single, and they basically said, we're just going to put this out there and see what people think of it. It's super weird. It's like a totally different song. Like, we just want to kind of like change our sound a little bit, see what people think, go back to this, go back to that. And I love that idea because that kind of lets you be more creative. You're not like, okay, what's the sound of this album? We're gonna have 12 songs that kind of fit into this, which I guess we haven't really done that. We have like a common theme for an album, but like this doing just singles kind of allows you to be like, here's this song, and it's crazy. Like our new song is super fast and heavy.
I think it allows you to evolve and be more agile as you go. Like, this is a really weird parallel or comparison, but like it makes me think of what you told me about Weird Al Yankovic, where like Weird Al Yankovic was tied to this crazy I think you told me about a crazy contract deal,
15 album
where
contract.
he had to write 15 albums, and because of that, like it would take him like a couple years to write an album. And by the time he put out this song, it was no longer a relevant song. But now that he's no longer on that contract, as soon as the song is a hit, he can release it as a single, and then it's relevant right away. So like for us, it's like, especially as a band that like may do commentary on something that's going on right now. It's like if we're doing commentary on something that's going on right now, and we write it right now, but we don't release it for 15 months, it's no longer relevant. It's just kind of like stale, you know?
Interesting. And how is the sound changing? Because I listened to Anti-Melody quite a bit, and I was pretty surprised just that like I thought each song was quite different, distinctly. There were like a lot of nice textures and different bits thrown into each track, and I was like, oh, it makes for a real like you know, just
more of a journey.
That's kind of I think that was kind of the plan. Was it to like for me, I like when an album has like, oh, I like that song that has this in it. You know what I mean? where it's like this unique thing. And then, so I think for our album, we wanted to go into it being like, okay, oh, that's that fast song with the guitar solo, or, you know, well, that's the song that has like the singing in the bridge, you know, that kind of thing.
Right,
so,
right.
Like with the new song, as far as our sound has come along now, is like, I think finally, because this is the first time that the same lineup has released 2 things in a row for this band.
Okay.
Because the lineup has changed so many times.
Which is crazy for a band that's been around for 7 years.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's finally like let us find our kind of sound as we've come together.
Okay.
And so, because me and Steve are like the newest members. I'm the newest member, and then Steve right after me. So.
You ruined the podcast, Brett!
Go away! He's just gonna stand there. Just ignore him. Just ignore him.
I see he's wearing the Dillinger Escape Plan hoodie. So
yeah, he's from Steaksauce Mustache.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our homies from Torrance. Yeah. But I don't even remember what I was talking. Oh, with the song. Yeah.
Right.
Something
good
about the
song.
fast song.
It is a good song.
No, it's. Oh yeah. The lineup thing. That's what I was talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's finally let all of our influences kind of come together and really put out a song that we're all super proud of. Because it's, you know, like Corey typically writes the riff, brings it to the rest of the band. We kind of, you know, mess with it and find out what works best. And
Sure.
Brandon remembers it because none of us know how to remember a song. You know?
I don't know why. I'm like the least talented.
I was gonna say it's really surprising that Brandon's the guy
I'm
that
the least
remembers.
talented musician in the band, but I'm the only guy that remembers any riffs.
He'll be like, "Isn't that the part where?" Yeah. And then
Like,
we'll
I
know
feel like
it.
Mitch has a pretty good memory, but like I'll always be like, all right, the drums was like this here, and you're doing it different now.
Yeah.
And the guitars were like this here. But like when it comes to actually like anything else in music, I'm just like, I can write lyrics.
Exactly.
My talent is writing lyrics, not anything else.
I wouldn't shortchange yourself on that though. I like the lyrics a lot. I think they're really well written. So I mean, it's,
agree.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess I haven't listened to the track, but are you thinking of going in a more aggressive kind of?
It's kind of interesting because like this, like for me, like, and I don't know, I haven't even talked to the guys about this, like, but to me, like this song sounds more like when we started than anything that we've done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've only showed it to a few people outside of the band.
The original or like some of the older
Yeah,
stuff?
the original stuff that we wrote in like
think like Still
2011.
Okay.
Like our older
That's,
album.
that's what this
So
is.
like even
Okay.
like before Still Life, even like Happiness. So like when I showed it to Nick from Stay Wild, he's like, dude, this sounds like Happiness doesn't sell like this, just really aggressive, really raw.
Right.
But like it sounds like what that song could have sounded like if you guys would have recorded it at a more professional studio.
Sure.
So like to me, like this song sounds like what we should have been doing in 2011 when we first started,
Right.
but with just the production that it should have warranted in the beginning.
Okay.
And I think that was the big
It's very
thing.
aggressive. It's very like it's in your face. It's very dynamic, and I think the biggest part and the biggest input that we've had from the last album, Anti-Melody, is like I think we're more cognizant of understanding like what parts of the song need to breathe a little bit more, and what
Okay.
parts of the song need to be tight, and what parts of the song need to be more chaotic. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we
Okay.
thought a little bit more about that in the recording process.
And if I can add to it, I see it that way, but I think a lot of it goes into the person that's recording it, and no discredit to who we like recorded with before and everything like that, but I think the person that we just recorded this new song with, Hiram, he just knew and he understood the sound that we were going for.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
we were all on the same page for that ideal.
Sure.
And it just came out in this way where it was perfect. It was just this. It was really like a raw, like really aggressive sound, and it
Right.
just
Yeah,
worked.
he's got a good ear.
And
Yeah.
one cool thing that he said, and this is actually, I think, when we went to Chipotle, me and Mitch went to Chipotle with them during the recording process, and he told us, he's like, because he moved from, Florida or something else. Like,
Florida.
he moved from
Okay.
somewhere else to Arizona. He's like, American Standards is the first band that I heard of when I moved over to this side, of the country. And he's like, and I've been listening to you guys for like 5 or 6 years now. And he's like, and I see your vision, but I think it could be executed better.
Yeah.
So like, I like the fact that like someone, like that's, to me, like I need someone that will be hard on us. That will
Sure,
say
sure,
like,
sure. Yeah.
you're better than what you're doing.
Exactly.
So do
Yeah, I
this.
see.
Like I don't like someone that's just like,
Oh, yeah,
all
keep
right,
doing it.
What
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
is great right now. Because if you keep saying that I'm great and everything is fantastic, then
Right.
I can't grow.
Sure.
So I think he acknowledged what we should be and said, all right, everything you've done, like the basis is there, but we can amp it up to something different.
Interesting. And is it just like the way he's mixed and mastered the stuff?
He recorded it. He mixed it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's in some of the mixing and mastering. It's also in someone that's just playing and like not settling for a track that's just mediocre.
Yeah.
Like your performance itself, like it, like in the past, especially vocally, like I'm probably more hard on myself than anybody else. Sure. And a lot of times it's just like I'll do a track and be like, I think I could do that better. And they're like, no, that's fine. Just keep it like that. Like she would actually be like, no, let's do it again. See what it sounds like. You know?
Okay.
And I think the same with Corey and with everything else. And with Mitch, there's parts that he would say like, I like what you're doing right now, but let's try it like this and see what it sounds like. Yeah. And like to me, that's the most fun, exciting part about music is like if you have something in your head and then you do it, and then you're like, well, let's do it another way, and let's listen to both objectively and see which of those two sound different. And I think like the hard part as a musician is to say, I'm not going to cling to what I originally did, but I'm actually going to say this is or isn't better, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's hard. I mean, I know, like, I'm not good at that because I get stuff stuck in my head where I'm like, all right, the way that we did it originally is probably better. But I think as a group, we all challenge each other and say, no, you know, maybe this new way of doing it is actually better. And I know even Mitch, like, in the studio said, like, because sometimes I'll be like, I really liked it when it had this faster beat here. And Mitch would be like, yeah, but like this makes it like this, and I'd say, okay, you're right, you know. So I think the fact that we could challenge each other is probably a better way of doing it than just saying, we wrote it like this. This is how it is. We're keeping it. You know?
Okay. And are you going to be working with this guy quite?
I hope.
Yeah, probably. After this, like, it's
after you got that
we have
feedback,
no
he put a stamp on it, and I feel like he is a person, like I was saying, out of everybody that we've recorded with, everybody that we've worked with, he understands the style or the sound that we're going for.
Interesting.
And
he lives like 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
As opposed to when we record in like LA. So the last couple albums we recorded in LA.
Oh shit. So how far were you guys from there?
About 6 hours. So it's like you drive, and like it's like you drive to LA and you're like, this is not too bad, 6 hours. But then you're like, all right, I have an idea and I want to change this.
Yeah, he drove back and forth to California like 3 times.
Yeah, I remember
Are you
that.
shitting? Oh my god.
Yeah, we
so because like with vocals, it's like you only have so much threshold, so you can't scream for 8 hours in one day, you know? Because like I would scream for 3 or 4 hours, and then I would come back home and I'd be like, oh, there's something here that's just really biting at me. I know I can do this better.
Right.
Now it's a 6 hour drive.
Now I gotta go
there and a 6 hour drive.
Jesus.
So yeah, but I do think with Hiram, one thing that's interesting is like we had after Anti-Melody, we had a lot of producers, and we still have a lot of people that will reach out to us on the band page and say like, I really like what you're doing, but I think you could do it better. Very similar to what he did.
Yeah.
So our original goal was, let's try a bunch of different people for singles and see what sounds the best.
Interesting.
But then after we recorded this, I think we very quickly said like, this is way better than anything we could have done. So maybe there is something better out there, but this is still very like as stereotypical as it is.
Sure.
As stereotypical as it is for a band to say, this is still the best thing that we've ever done.
Yeah, for sure.
In either songwriting or quality of recording.
Interesting. And you guys, so I did my best to research some of this stuff, and I was a little, I couldn't piece all of it together, but I'm under the impression, so you guys went through some folks who distributed your stuff, but there was like, you turned the corner a bit with just deciding to go more like DIY, right? Yeah. So what was the, like was that, is that kind of in the, like, is that kind of
I think it was just more so, just, honestly, I mean, to be as straight as possible, just shitty people.
Okay.
Dealing with
to be honest, I think we were just dealing with, at the time, I mean, me and Brandon, we were dealing with that, I mean, if it's okay to say, We Are Triumphant, and it was cool. It's like, oh, like, we were young, and at least I was, and it was just like, oh, we're gonna get signed. Yeah, we're gonna get signed. This is awesome.
Right.
And then it just came to a reality where it's like, these people kind of suck.
And do they just kind of like try and control aspects
exactly.
of it?
And
like,
I think the big thing, at least for me, the big thing was Brandon was like, hey, I want to do this run of shows with and do this, that, and the other, but I want to do it with our friends who was in a band at the time called You're Young. And these people at the time, they were like, you can't do it because they're not on the label. And I was like, well, what?
This band's not big enough to tour with you. Don't waste your time with this band.
They wouldn't let you,
yeah,
or like they just said
they just really frowned upon it. And
in my head, we were still booking the tours, which is
was our shit.
The only reason we signed to a label was like, all right, if we're gonna sign to a label, it's because they have a bigger network than we have,
right?
And they're gonna help us either get tour support put out our album, help us record, elevate, and
Right.
like get us features that we're not getting.
Sure,
but
sure.
like we were still booking our own tours. But now when we were booking our own tours, they're saying don't tour with this band or don't tour with that band. When we were putting out our own videos, they're like don't work with this person or don't work with that person. Although we're not going to pay for who you work with.
So they're trying, or were they trying to like help out some of their buddies too, and like try and funnel
I
you
don't
over to
even
certain
know.
They
people,
were
like-
asking a lot of like the bands they wanted to tour with us after we had booked the tour, our bands on the label.
On the label. So
And
it's-
then-
you could only work with bands that were on that label. So when it was, when we were like, hey, we want to tour with our friends because obviously
Right.
they're our fucking friends.
Right.
It was no, you can't do that. So we were kind of like, screw off.
And that was kind of,
And that was the
break.
last straw.
So
Gotcha,
we were
gotcha.
giving them a lot more than we were getting in return because we were paying for our recording, we were paying for our music videos, we were booking our own tours, and we were doing our own press release, and then they were asking us to put their label bands on the tours. They were asking us to put out music videos. Like they're like, all right, we need a music video in 2 weeks. Now you go find the person to
Are you
shoot the video,
serious?
and you go pay for it
And edit it and everything,
they
and
were
like,
not
oh
good.
my
and then
God.
when we put out the album, they're like, all right, you guys are doing really good at getting your own press release. Can you help us get press release for
Yeah,
our
they were
other
asking
bands?
us how to do shit.
But like the reason why we did it at the
Jesus,
time,
that's
because like,
crazy.
I mean, I had been doing music for quite a while, and Steve's been doing it for a while, and a lot of the other guys at the time. So like, at the time, the reason why we did it is because they were backed by Victory Records. And Victory Records was a larger label, and it had Sony Red like doing the distribution. So we're like,
Sure.
okay, so like, although this is a subsidiary or like a side label of it, like they
could lead to
had
something.
the contacts, they have some kind of networking that can get us at a level that we're not right now. But we found out very quickly that it was all about us promoting the label, not the label promoting us. And we quickly also found that the label every 2 to 4 weeks was signing another band. So
Really?
they would spend 2 to 4 weeks on promoting one band
And
and,
they just
then
move on
moving
to
to the next one. So as soon as they got everybody that they could from that band to care about the label, they'd move on to the next band and get everybody they could from that band to care about the label.
And that's how they would build
Yeah.
their base
So
or
they would build
whatever.
their label.
Oh
And
my
It was just
God.
such
That's
like a
crazy.
fucking like.
So the
just
majority
roll.
of bands, their lifespan would be one album on the label, and then they'll leave the label because they'll just be so sick of it. And some of them, unfortunately, signed to contracts that were longer than an album, and they had to stay with them or get a lawyer to leave. Luckily, at the time, Brennan had a friend that was a lawyer, and we redid the contract a few times, and when we left, we signed for one album with an option for a second, and we told him after the first album we were leaving.
You're
So-
done. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's Victory.
Yeah,
That-
Victory.
okay.
Yeah, the subsidiary of
Okay.
Victory.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know much about the label hemisphere, but I've never seen like good press about
It
them.
was-
I've
a lot of
always
negative press.
It was.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like as much as what Brandon have told me, it was probably the worst.
Right.
Like exposure that I've ever had. To, like,
It's, I
the
mean,
actual-
we had a better experience when we started working with this label called Enjoyment Records out of UK, which was a DIY label. It was a guy basically out of his garage.
Goddamn
Really?
Dale.
Yeah,
Dale.
Dale.
Dale was amazing.
So like with Dale, like the deal was basically like, hey, I'm going to press, 500 or 600 vinyl, and I'm gonna send you like 300, which you can sell for your own price and keep all the money. Then I'm gonna
Really?
sell the
Yeah,
Wow.
he was
then I'm gonna
awesome.
take the other
Dale was
300
awesome.
and I'm gonna sell them on my own.
For
But
his,
then-
like,
for
his-
his profit, but then I'm
Right.
still gonna send you 20%
Of that.
of what I sold of the
How-
other 300.
How does he make?
So it's
Does he
like
have his
at-
own vinyl pressing?
at
How do you
that point-
survive on that? Holy
At that
crap.
point, it was literally
That's
like,
crazy.
well, we're gonna get more vinyl than we could ever afford to buy it on our own.
Right.
Plus, you have an
Right.
incentive to sell this because
Right.
if you sell it, you make your own money and you can make your money
Wow.
back. So like that was so much of a better deal to us than it was to
Right.
be to a label that had some of the biggest bands in the 90s and early 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Dale
pretty
was
profound,
awesome.
huh?
And he shreds.
Really?
Oh my god. If you want like that, like fucking like
John?
mathcore,
Magenty shit,
oh my
yeah, yeah.
god, dude, that
Nice.
kid ripped.
He was like
Oh, yeah.
Fear Before the March of Flames,
Okay.
Sean.
Nice.
Like he was like clean guitar but
he was
shredding.
like,
Okay.
Nice.
That's right up my
He
alley.
fucking ripped.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. I'm stalling. Let me think.
No, this is actually cool. I mean, I'd much rather have a conversation than be like, "Where'd you get your band name?" How long have you been a band?"
yeah.
No one wants to hear that because, like, if they wanted to hear that, they'd just go to Facebook and be like, "Oh, they've been a band since 2011."
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Do you play music yourself, or?
I can't play. I just I can talk about music and I can like sometimes write about it. That's the best I got.
Yeah.
Like I've tried playing bass.
How'd you get into music?
There's some cringy stories. I mean, I think most of it started with like that shit band Disturbed, you know, like back in the day. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, cringy in hindsight, you know. You look back.
You're talking to a bunch of kids who grew up with
I know.
So if you want to get stupefied on this podcast, we'll drop some plates.
Oh my god, I have not heard those lyrics.
I went to what fucking Ozfest was it?
Mayhem, I thought.
No, I went to Ozfest
Okay.
and I met Disturbed and they signed their album 10,000 Fists.
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe in 10,000 Fists.
And what's their vocalist name? David
Draymond.
Yeah,
It's
and he's
sad
like,
that I know that,
and I was like fucking like, I don't even know. I was like 16, and he was like, "How's it going, man?" And he signed my thing. I'm just like, just like I thought I was like, it was fucking like royalty.
That's how it was when I met Stone Sour.
But it was cool because
really?
that
I freaked
Ozfest, that Ozfest that I went to, I got to see System of a Down play.
Oh, that's sick.
and that
I
was-
wish I saw them
it
in their
was
prime. I never.
fucking-
They're
We're
my
all
favorite
huge
bands.
System of a Down.
Yeah.
So like when
Oh
it comes to
my
like
God.
what bands that like we all agree on, like System of a Down is
System
like the
is-
pinnacle.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh yeah.
And like I mean I think we
jam
all
them
like
the
we
time.
all probably listened to more new metal as kids than we listened to hardcore.
I mean, that was like the. I mean, how old are you guys? Like,
Yeah,
like
we'll say like 26 to 32.
Okay, yeah, because that seems about the time. Like,
Yeah.
that's when I was
Yeah.
listening
Yeah.
to that new metal. I never got like Korn or any of that shit, but kind of in that hemisphere.
You didn't get into Korn?
I know.
What?
I don't know. I went from like Disturbed and some other shit. I don't know. And
Do you
then
like
and-
Do you like
You're slowly
Deftones?
falling away
I
from
do like
me right
Deftones,
now.
right? Yeah, I know.
feel like you have issues.
I have a really
Stupid.
I went from like Disturbed to I don't know
Don't
how
you
it
just
went.
make
I
me
went
bad?
I made a jump and then I went to Behemoth and then I
Did
never
you?
went back. Yeah, and then
Fucking Mish loves Behemoth, doesn't
yeah,
he?
I don't like their new stuff as much. I like their older stuff, but like after jumping to that, now I'm kind of just in this weird world, like listening to like experimental, like noise and harsh noise, and like that's where
Oh,
I'm at
what
now.
was that? What's that white metal band that Mitch showed us?
White metal.
So you're never a freak on
Oh my
leash.
god, it's so like this.
I know that song. I'm sorry for
I wish
for
it was
stepping
here.
on toes
Oh my
here.
god. So well, while we were recording the song with Hiram, he showed me this band. Oh my god, what were they called? Like Moon something. And they were
Oh, are you talking about the major key black metal band?
oh my god, it was
Major key black metal.
Yeah, it's-
Oh.
oh my god.
They call it white metal now?
I think
No,
that's
no,
what
white
he-
metal is Christian metal.
Okay.
What was that? What's that name of the Moon something?
Band.
That really like major black
Lover?
No. Where it's like
Major key black metal band.
Yeah, I think it's Moon.
Moon Lover
Let me see.
with the album cover.
Yeah, with the moon. It's got
Yeah.
like the girl.
Oh, you're talking about Ghost Bath? Ghost
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Ghost
Ghost
Bath.
Bath. I think the album is called.
Moon Lover. Yeah, it has like the girl like bond, like the bondage with
man,
like
that
the
album
moon.
was so sick.
That's a good.
Yeah, I
that's some good stuff.
I like that album a decent bit, and then their next one, I was kind of like, oh, they went like they kind of pushed it. They pushed like the
Oh,
like
they
it got a little like it was like a bloated, you know, it went from like a
did
45-minute record to like a 60, 80 minute. I was like, okay, that's a
Because it's
little.
kind of hard because those vocals. It's just.
Right.
It's not really lyrics. It's just like.
It's like shrieking
Yeah,
and like it's like
exactly.
oh, I'm trapped
So
in a casket.
You can
help
only
me.
kind of
Yeah.
do that so much, you
Right,
know,
right,
before you're
yeah.
like, all right.
You know, that is an interesting band. They seem to kind of been on that same wave, or like just after. What's that other band that Death Heaven kind of like
Heaven.
after they kind of broke that whole boundary of like,
Oathbreaker,
Yeah, there's a lot of like I feel like
Right.
the shoegaze metal like is getting like really big right now.
Yeah, and it's been I don't know if it's
weird, too,
trailing
'cause
off.
I feel like
but
it's big into like the
I think
hipster
it is
scene in
trailing.
a sense.
I really think it is trailing off.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's weird that like places that are like traditionally a place that like is a hipster bar, you know, a place that you wouldn't assume to see a bunch of metal kids at, will have a band like that and it will sell out the show, you know.
Yes.
So like back home we
Yeah.
have these places that normally only play indie rock, but then they'll have a shoegaze metal band and it'll sell out the show. They'll have like 400 people there. Like, holy shit! Like it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
No, there is an accessibility with that music because it just has kind of like that, like that shoegazy allure, and it kind of
And
it's
it
like
could become background music sometimes too. I think like
Right.
people can like
Right.
drink and have conversations and like be like, all right, I don't have to feel like I'm in a pit right now.
I listen to black metal. You know, like-
yeah, exactly,
Then you hear real black metal and you're like,
yeah,
this is different.
exactly, yeah.
But I love black metal. Like, this isn't even like intense black metal, but my friend showed me Wolves on the Throne Room for a while.
Right,
And they're
right.
sick. Like,
They're really good.
They're
Yeah.
like more towards actual. Kind
They're
of like,
they're kind of like I don't know if I wish I knew more about kind of, I know that they've been around for a while. I'm under the impression they're like kind of like the purveyors of like the Cascade, like Pacific Northwest Cascadian like black metal. Like that's like the ambience and like the field recordings and stuff.
That's the thing. The recordings that always sound like shit. But it's funny. Like I wish like that's the one thing keeping me out of that genre is like I feel like there's never been like just a really top notch, well recorded.
I think they do that on purpose. Like,
no, it is. That's what I'm saying.
It's very lo-fi and it kind of
like personally, when I think about like hardcore bands and metalcore bands, like sometimes my favorite albums are the ones that like sound horrible. So when I hear bands that are modern and they sound horrible, but they do that as stylistically, I'm like, I kind of enjoy this.
Yeah, I just can't. I'm an audio engineer. I went to engineering school and stuff. So like, like now I'm just so broken, and I'm just like, well, he could have done, you know.
It's like when we were talking about Every Time I Die. It's like Hot Damn is my favorite Every Time I Die album, and I still really enjoy Last Night in Town and Burial Plot Bidding War. Although I know when I listen to it, it's like he's yelling through a guitar amp, and like all these tones sound horrible. The snare sounds like an 80s snare with a crack that's all the reverb.
Horrible,
But like for some reason, to me, it sounds like you can hear that like they weren't focused on that. They're more focused on like, here's the song, you know, as opposed to like the song's completely on time and the tone is completely perfect every time, you know.
Do you guys have any like just to keep information flowing about bands, like recommendations, like stuff that you think folks should listen to, like in like local scenes and stuff?
Like, I mean, something we're listening to on the road here is Greyhaven just put out a new album.
Oh, never heard of it.
And they're actually it's solid. Like it's cool because the guy has a really dynamic voice. And the lyrics are kind of cool, and like I just think like it reminds me of old stuff, but like to Mitch's point, like I think it's recorded much better than old stuff was recorded. So it reminds me of early 2000s like hardcore and metalcore.
Oh, okay.
But recorded in today's like environment, you know.
Sure.
Kind of Every Time I Die, Norma Jean. Along those lines. They're on tour with Norma Jean right now.
Oh, okay.
But he's got just a ton of expression in his voice.
Yeah. And for me, all I listen to now is like beat down hardcore.
That's a genre I'm not very familiar with.
Like Harm's Way. Their new
Harm's
album.
Way for sure.
God damn, that shit is so brutal.
For sure, yeah.
It's so good. Harm's Way.
I saw them live, and after I saw the people doing the karate kicks, I'm like, I'm out. I just
Mitch
walked to
started
the back.
lifting, he got buff, and now he started listening to his stuff.
Seriously, I think that's what happened. Yeah, no, we went on tour last year, and all we played with was like beatdown hardcore bands. So.
All right, well, we can.
Bro, we keep Tony to get out of here. Jeez. Oh, dude, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
thanks, sir.